What if the boy the world once misunderstood grew up believing he was ordinary? What if the quiet child sitting in the back of the classroom, the one teachers didn't fully understand, had decided to stop asking strange questions? What if Albert Einstein had listened when the world told him to just fit in? No dangerous thoughts, no impossible imagination, no rebellion against common sense. Then maybe we would still be living in a world where time felt simple, space felt fixed, and reality remained beautifully wrong. Because Einstein didn't just discover a theory, he shattered the illusion that the universe behaves the way it appears to behave. And the strangest part? It all began not with equations, but with a child's discomfort with the ordinary. Tonight, we are not just exploring Einstein's genius, we are uncovering something deeper. How one misunderstood mind rewrote reality itself, and why the world almost missed him. There's a story millions of people love repeating, that Albert Einstein, the man who transformed modern physics, was bad at school, that he failed math, that he struggled so badly no one expected anything from him. It's a powerful story, comforting even, because it tells us that greatness can rise from failure. But the truth is more interesting than the myth. Einstein did not fail math. In fact, from a young age, he was often ahead of his peers in the subjects that truly mattered to him. So why did the myth survive? Because Einstein didn't fit the shape the world expected genius to have. He was not loud, not polished, not obedient in the usual way. He was slow in some things, deep in others, and dangerously uninterested in memorizing what didn't make sense to him. And that is where the real story begins. Not with failure, but with friction. The friction between a curious mind and a rigid world. As a child, Einstein was not the kind of boy who impressed rooms quickly. He spoke late, he often seemed distant, quiet, lost somewhere behind his own eyes. To adults around him, he did not always look exceptional. And that is one of the most important lessons in the history of intelligence. Real depth rarely arrives with noise. Some minds are not built to perform early. They are built to observe, to sit longer with confusion, to resist easy answers, to question what everyone else accepts without tension. Einstein wasn't trying to be difficult. He was simply disturbed by shallow certainty. While others accepted the world as it appeared, he was already asking, why does light behave the way it does? Why does motion feel one way from here and another from somewhere else? What is time, really? Most children are taught to move through reality. Einstein wanted to stop it, hold it, turn it over in his mind, and ask whether reality itself was lying. The classrooms Einstein grew up in were built for discipline, order, repetition, and conformity. You were expected to absorb, to obey, to repeat. But Einstein's mind did not move in straight lines, and this is where most people misunderstand genius. They think intelligence means quick answers, perfect grades, clean performance. But many of the deepest thinkers in history were not optimized for systems. They were optimized for truth, and truth is rarely tidy. Einstein didn't hate learning. He hated dead learning, learning without wonder, without tension, without the feeling that something real was being touched. That is why he often clashed, not with knowledge, but with the machinery around knowledge. And this matters far beyond Einstein, because even today, the world still confuses compliance with intelligence. A student who asks too many questions can still look like a problem. A child who thinks differently can still be mistaken for slow, and many extraordinary minds still disappear quietly inside systems that reward sameness. Einstein survived that, but many never do. One of the most important moments in Einstein's early life did not happen in a laboratory. It happened with a compass. As a young boy, Einstein was shown a small magnetic compass, a simple object, a needle turning silently, nothing dramatic, but to him it was haunting, because no matter how he moved it, the needle responded to something invisible, something real that he could not see. That moment mattered more than most people realize, because for Einstein it was an initiation, a crack in the ordinary world, proof that beneath appearances there were hidden laws quietly shaping reality. And once a child truly sees that, they can never fully return to surface-level thinking. That compass didn't just entertain him, it infected him with a hunger to know what unseen structures hold the universe together, what forces move through reality without announcing themselves, and perhaps the deepest question of all, how much of life is controlled by things we do not notice. Years later, Einstein would begin asking a question that sounds almost childish at first, but it would eventually destroy centuries of certainty. He asked, "What would life look like if I could ride alongside a beam of light?" Think about that. Not, "How do I pass the exam?" Not, "How do I impress my teachers?" Not even, "How do I become successful?" But, what would reality look like from inside the impossible? This is what separates ordinary intelligence from world-changing imagination. Most people use thought to solve the visible. Einstein used thought to enter the invisible. And this single thought led him somewhere terrifying. Because if the speed of light is always the same, then something else must give way. And what gave way was everything people thought was solid. Time, space, distance, simultaneity, even now. Einstein showed the world that time does not flow equally for everyone, that two people moving differently can experience reality differently, that clocks do not all agree, that the universe is not built like a giant stable stage, but like a flexible fabric shaped by motion, energy, and gravity. This was not just science, this was philosophical earthquake, because it meant reality was far stranger than human intuition. And the boy Einstein grew up in, misunderstood in classrooms, had now begun rewriting the architecture of existence. But maybe the deepest lesson of Einstein's life has nothing to do with physics. Maybe it is this: genius is not always faster than everyone else. Sometimes it is simply more honest, more willing to sit with confusion, more willing to reject appearances, more willing to ask questions that feel uncomfortable, impractical, or absurd. Einstein didn't become Einstein because he had all the answers. He became Einstein because he refused to stop when the answers felt too simple. And that is a lesson most people never fully learn, because the world trains us to end questions quickly, to become efficient, certain, socially acceptable. But the deepest breakthroughs in human history have often come from people who were willing to look foolish longer than everyone else. That is not just science, that's life, because many of the truths that could transform you are still hiding behind the questions you are afraid to ask. So, what if Einstein had listened? What if the quiet child had decided his strange thoughts were useless? What if he had buried his imagination just to become easier for the world to understand? Then maybe relativity would still arrive someday. Maybe someone else would eventually ask the question, but maybe not soon enough. Maybe the world would stay asleep inside its beautiful illusions for a little longer. And that is the terrifying power of a single human mind. History does not always change because someone was the strongest or the loudest. Sometimes history changes because one person became obsessed with a question everyone else was too comfortable to ignore. Einstein didn't just challenge science, he challenged the human instinct to trust what feels obvious. And in doing so, he taught us something far bigger than physics, that reality does not reward the people who simply fit into it. Sometimes it reveals itself to the ones who dare to doubt it. The universe changed because one boy refused to stop wondering.